You're listening to Scribble Talk, a podcast for bid and proposal professionals. My name is Bhaskar Sundram, and with my co-host Ashley Case, we will be sitting down with our industry veterans to share their stories, discuss their career, and learn how to make an impact in the industry. Today's guest is Pippa Birch. Pippa has worked in bidding for almost 20 years, the last 8 as a freelancer. Her specialism is highways. However, she works with a diverse range of clients across many sectors. Pipster Solutions, her company, has become a successful, sustainable business with over 40 plus clients providing bid writing, editing, management, coaching, and ongoing support. Pippa is a fan of keeping things simple, a champion of small companies, and a supporter of creating and maintaining healthy connections with other bidding professionals. Pippa, that's amazing. We all know that. She wants young people to have easy access to information about amazing careers in bidding. Pippa is APMP Professional certified, one of the very few who have got it globally, APMP UK Rapport Mentor, member of the International Career Path Committee, the ICP, and is on the UK Awards 2020 committee. Wow. Pippa also hosts Thursday Throng and Bid Bites as a host, and is part of the Bid Solutions Bidding Quarterly award-winning team, and a coach for APMP Professional submissions. There is so much to talk about, Pippa. Welcome to Scribble Talk. Great to have you with us.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
So, Pippa, let's go back to the very beginning. Where were you born and your high school and education?
I was born in Bristol, a city in southwest England. Yeah. I went to primary school, secondary school. I wanted to be a vet. And then I didn't do very well at my A-levels, so I didn't do that. So I ended up going to university to study to be a drama teacher.
Oh, wow. Back to a drama teacher.
Yeah.
Why? That's a very... Okay, let's go back. So you did the primary school, secondary school, both in Bristol?
No, I was in Somerset by then, so down in a town called Bridgewater. So.
Nice. Okay, and that was the career you want to pursue, and then you moved to drama teacher. Was there a degree for studying drama teacher, or you just?
Yeah, it was a Bachelor of Education right. With drama as a specialism. So it was a 4-year course. Wow. I did Key Stage 2, which is 7 to 12-year-olds, and you do 2 years of teaching. You do a year of your specialism. So I spent a year putting on plays and musicals and all sorts, and then the final year you go and spend in a school and teach.
Wow. and which university was this?
University of Plymouth, but I did my 4 years down in Exmouth, which is a lovely seaside town in Devon.
My God, you already touched 4 interesting geography landscapes in UK before the age.
I am a proper southwest girl, though. I get nosebleeds if I go too far north.
Nice, that's amazing. So from drama teacher, was that your first job being a drama teacher?
No. I had lots of jobs when I was at university. I used to go and work at a hospital as a care assistant in my holidays. I used to run my big love was running pubs in the holidays. So the pub managers would go on holiday and I'd take over for a while. I used to, in term time when I was at university, I was a bingo caller. That was fun. So I had lots of little jobs growing up, and then my first job after university really was I moved to South Wales after graduating, and there weren't any teaching jobs. So I went to a temporary agency, and my first temporary job was as a contract coordinator for a couple of weeks with a road surfacing company.
Right.
So you can see where this is going, can't you?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, okay. So was that the contract servicing company that brought you to the bid and proposal world?
It was, yes. I think I was originally contracted to move plant and materials about in South Wales for the highway surfacing company, and I really enjoyed it actually. Mm-hmm. And they said, "Oh, stay on a bit longer," and I started to help with the estimating side of things. So I started to go out and measure estate roads and price them up, just very simple stuff. And about that time, we started getting more requests for CVs and experience. So I started to write those. because I pride myself on my writing, and that kind of evolved then into a lot of it was kind of when the quality submissions started to come in, and nobody had the skills to do that where I was based. So I started to put those together, and then I officially became a technical writer. And I've never kind of left the business, really. They were going to train me to be a project manager on site, but and I went through all the training for that, and which I loved. But I just became more and more in the office and writing more and more, and there started to be more of the bigger tenders. So and that's how it evolved, really.
Wow, it's amazing how you evolved in your role. And I think your ability to learn in your job, learn new skills, learn new projects is kind of fascinating. So what advice would you give somebody who's just entering the bid and proposal career?
Oh, soak it all up, really. Just learn from others. I've always said, certainly when you're starting out in your career, is the biggest thing is looking somebody in the eye and giving them a firm handshake is always a really good start. And then just soak up everything you can learn from people, but also be confident in your own abilities.
That's
kind of get stuck in, basically.
Yes, that's super advice, people, because these days, people do expect, things to come to them to a certain extent.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a challenge, but yeah, that's brilliant. So from that role, what was the next role? Next company?
My next role, I stayed with that company for quite a while, and they were taken over by another company. So I was moved to another office. I was moved to an office in Bristol, out of South Wales. And then when I went on maternity leave with my daughter, my current boss moved to another company, and he spent the whole of my maternity leave saying, "Don't go back, come and work for me at this company." And this was in Somerset, for aggregate industries. And I ended up, moving and starting work for him when I went back to work.
Wow, got you. So at what point did you decide, okay, it's time for Pipster Solutions?
Oh, it wasn't a quick decision, I have to say. Our bidding team down in Somerset was a bit of an outpost. So the main bidding was done in the Midlands. And I got left on my own down in Somerset, and the work was quite hefty. So we started to hire in writers and consultants to help me. And nobody I know now is a professional, but at the time they always seemed to be older men who wafted in, gave it the big I am, never got involved in anything, left at 5 because their hours were up, and then I'd spend most evenings rewriting what they did because it wasn't very good. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought that actually there was a better way of doing things. You can be a consultant and be a humble consultant, and you can actually go in and be part of a team and put the kettle on and do what you've been asked to do without kind of lording it over people. And it used to really annoy me. And it was about that time that my marriage started to break down. So I needed to be a little bit more flexible with my daughter, who was about 3 or 4 at the time. But it was a worrying time because obviously I was on my own at that point, and I didn't really want to go freelance and not be able to put a roof over our heads. So it took a long time for me to get the gumption up to do it. and actually a very kind offer from a very close friend at the time that said, I'll pay your bills for a few months while you get sorted. And I set up Pipster Solutions in March 2012, and then it took me until the August of that year to actually put my notice in and actually get up the confidence to do it. And I put my notice in and left the AI on the Friday and walked into my first job on the Monday, and I haven't stopped.
That's a beautiful journey there, Pippa. And why the name Pipster Solutions?
Well, that was down to my boss at the beginning, when I was thinking about going freelance, because every time I went into his office in the morning, he'd go, "Morning, Pipster." So, and I was trying to. It's really hard coming up with company names. I'm not I suppose I'm a creative because I'm a bid writer, but it's not very often I get a brainwave, and I couldn't do Pipster proposals or anything because that would sound like I was in weddings. And I also wanted to future-proof it. So if it didn't work out and I wanted to branch out into something else, Pipster Solutions is, I couldn't have Pipster Limited at the time because there was one. They're a property company, I think they're still about. So I thought, right, Pipster Solutions, I'll turn my hand to anything really. I'm quite flexible, whatever anybody needs, I'll go in and help them with. So that was where Pipster Solutions came from.
Got you. Nice. So close to 10 years now, Pippa, and you even before you have been involved on so many bids. Is there any memorable proposal effort that you remember till date?
I think the one that's going to stay with me forever is one that my client got very involved in. They brought me in, they'd heard about me in the industry because I was very well known in the highways industry anyway because of other efforts with their professional organisation, the Institute of Asphalt Technology. So they called me and they said, we hear you write bids, we really want to go for this framework, we just want that seat at the table. We don't, if no work comes out of it, at least we're on it, we can talk to the client. And I said, well, this is a big bid, it requires a lot of input from the company. From top level all the way out to site, and they said, okay, tell us what we've got to do and we'll go for it. So at the time, and most days actually, I'm so busy that people have to block my time kind of 3-6 months in advance. They said, all right, well, we know the bid's coming out in September, come and work with us from May, do us a gap analysis because we know we're not doing things very well. So I went in, I spent 6 months with them doing gap analysis of their bidding and estimating section, and it highlighted a lot of business things that they needed to up their game on. The tender came out in September, and I just got full engagement from them. Kick-off meeting, the CEO was there. This is important. This is, we really want this for the business. Whatever Pippa asked for, give it to her. They even hired me my own little porter cabin to go out in the car park so I could take people away from their day-to-day offices so they could actually concentrate on what I needed them to do. And it was a joy, really. I mean, it was hard. They'd never done a bid like this. They'd never worked in that arena or for that client. But they were keen and they were willing to make cultural changes. And yes, we got on 4 years ago, and we're actually about to go into the rebid to keep them on. They're now, I think they've turned over 25-30 million on it in the last 4 years. So yeah, they're a lovely client of mine, and I'm looking forward to getting stuck back in there to do the rebid.
Oh, that's amazing. Definitely. I think it's not just coming and writing a proposal, it's actually making that exponential or that incremental improvement for them over the years that they could get on.
Absolutely. And this is kind of my uniqueness in my world is the fact that I do work with SMEs, and I don't just go in and write and leave. I go in and I become part of the team, and we do the strategy stuff and things like that. I don't profess to be very good at that, but I do like to work with them in a bidding sense because I know what they'll be asked.
Sure.
So I get involved. I do everything right down to managing the portal and getting the prices from their estimators. So because they don't have the bidding capability.
100%. Pippa, looking back, at the moment there are so many guys who are considering to become freelancers, but there are so many people who became freelancers, but they weren't able to survive or thrive in this market. What are some of the tips that you could give the new freelancers or some of the guys who are struggling in this market?
I think probably the biggest thing is to not be stuck in what you're offering. So I had an idea that I'd go out and I'd just write for people, and it's definitely evolved because what was required was not just writing. I have had jobs where I go in and it's a massive bid team and I'm given a set of questions to respond to. That's, I quite like those. But I think it became clear very quickly that I just needed to change my outlook and that I needed to offer a bit more. And that sometimes you go in and they might need you to sort out a few marketing documents or a case study or you know, they might need you to answer the phones for the afternoon because somebody's off. It's just kind of, it's not having a set, fixed offering. You do need to have your unique offering. You do need to kind of find your niche, but be flexible within that.
That's a brilliant advice. Brilliant advice. So, you know, 20 plus years successful career at highway specialist Pippa. At what point did you come across APMP, and when did you become a member of APMP?
Oh, not that long ago, actually. In the grand scheme of things, I had been freelance 3-4 years, and I hadn't done any professional development. I've been doing it a long time. I suddenly thought, actually, you know, I've got my own business. My clients need to know that I'm improving and I'm trying to find the best practice for them at all times. So I did ask Mr. Google, as you know, most of us do, and this 2-day writing course came up, and I thought, oh, that looks all right. And it said you got a certificate at the end of it. It was a bit worrying because obviously I had to pay for it. I had to pay for accommodation in London, and I wasn't earning. And this was still quite early days for me, so it was quite a big undertaking for me to kind of spend out that sort of money and obviously be losing income. But I thought, no, I need to do this. I need to, you know, make sure my clients know that they're getting the latest advice, sort of thing. So off I trot to London, and I walk into the room, and Mr. Tony Birch is there. And I had an amazing 2 days with him. Got my foundation, obviously joined the APMP, and the rest is history, really. And I joke a little bit about Tony being my bidding dad, because obviously his surname is Birch as well.
Yes, I was about to ask you, are you related or?
No, sadly not. I'd love it if he was my real dad, I have to say.
I think we all do. I always call him my dad as well. That's good. It's amazing how many children he has in the industry or he's created. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. So when was this paper?
2015, I think.
Right.
Dredging back into my memory. It's been a whirlwind since then.
That was foundation, was it?
That was foundation.
God, yes. How was the certification journey from foundation all the way to professional?
Well, I think I started the professional the next year at the conference, and I did the professional, the practitioner startup day, and it was Alan Howard back then, and so did that startup day and thought, oh, you know, I'll get this done by Christmas. Anyway, it never did. Spent all year doing bits and pieces, and then so I booked myself onto the practitioner completion the following year in 2017, and got my practitioner. This is the old style kind of 35 question essays, which, although was onerous, was a really brilliant way of showing what you'd achieved.
The PPAQ and the last, or the
professional, I was going to leave for a few years, and Mr. Howard turned up at my house for a cup of tea one day because he's in the area and persuaded me to go for it. So I did. And I got that in 2018.
Oh, wow, that's good. So what advice would you give people who are in the foundation to do practitioner, or from practitioner to do professional? Why do you think they should do?
Because it shows your progression in the career. It shows that you're willing to learn, you're willing to push yourself a little bit further. Certainly from a freelancer point of view, it shows that we're willing to improve for our clients. It gives them a certain confidence that we know what we're talking about. It's just a brilliant program. And I got my capture practitioner last year, and I don't do a huge amount of capture because quite often I'll go in a bit too late for that. But I felt that was important for me to get that as the next kind of thing that I could improve myself with, as it were.
Totally. I think you are one of the very few who got all four, I think.
I'm waiting for the next one now. The thing is, you get to professional and you think, right, what else can I do to improve myself in the bidding arena? And actually, I've had to look outside that. So I've started to do things that will benefit my clients. Like I did a day on NEC contracts. So I haven't done any NEC training since I was way back in RMC years ago, and I needed to update my knowledge. But that obviously helps my clients, because when we're answering kind of NEC contract programming questions, I understand what we're writing about and what they're telling me. So it's looking outside. I'm looking at a bit of, I don't know, NLP or, you know, something psychological next, I think might be quite good.
Wow, it just tells you that, you know, you're always finding that little things to improve yourself, Pippa. And once you improve yourself, you're just passing on to others. You just don't keep it to yourself. That's what makes you an amazing person. And guys, if you're listening, if there is a chance, you know, let's make Pippa the next fellow, you know.
I need a few more years under my belt, yeah, I reckon.
I will vote for you big time, Pippa, big time. Because of your big heart. Pippa, I think you know, you have been an avid contributor to the APMP community, have volunteered for so many initiatives. But let's talk about the speaking engagements and other things. Do you have any memorable APMP UK or BPC or the recent BPC Europe memories?
Yes, I probably the first one is the first one I ever did, which was with my old friend Mike, who's sadly not with us anymore. And we had met the previous year in practitioner. And had gone to quite a few of the presentations, and you know, you sit next to someone you get on with and you start to go, oh, this is rubbish, isn't it, and this is not giving us what we want, and blah 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 blah. So over the following couple of months we said, God, we could do this, we could present at conference, couldn't we? And we're kind of, you know, we're can we do it? And we ended up deciding no, we would go for it, and we got chosen, and we did that first one, and it was freelance versus employed, so it was a bit of a, you know, employed is better than freelance, and it was good fun actually. It was so nerve-wracking, and even to this day I get terribly nervous. You speak to anyone that knows me, I'm not a fan of getting up and speaking in front of people. So so that was probably my first memorable one. My second memorable one was probably speaking with Ben Hannon about a freelance journey, because we were so proud of what we did. We did this whole kind of Indiana Jones journey of becoming a freelancer. And what was even more memorable was it was in a hotel in Basingstoke, but it was actually on the indoor badminton courts in a sports hall. And I just remember the smell of sweaty socks, and the acoustics were really weird, and it was just a bizarre experience. But yeah, that does stick in my memory. And of course, my first BPC Europe was this year, and I hadn't been abroad for anything to do with bidding, and it was amazing to see the depth and the range of people across Europe that are in the industry. And actually, I think it happened when lockdown started to happen, so some people were kind of turned around mid-air to go home because they weren't allowed to travel with work. And I'm a hugger. I am a hugger, and it was the first time that people kind of said, no, I don't want to hug you, here's my elbow, and I found that really difficult.
Yes, that's it. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Oh, and I met, the other thing was, I was just going to say, I met Howard Nutt for the first time. And although it was a very, very quick meeting, obviously we listened to him on stage, and then he met me, but the warmth that came out of that man was unbelievable. He was genuinely interested in everyone he met. It was it'll stay with me for a long time, that one.
Yeah. Howard is a legend, as we all know, but he's my other father. That's great, Pippa. I mean, like, you know, we hope that because I know BPC Nashville will have to be cancelled, and hopefully before February, March next year, we all will come out of here and we all can gather again in BPC Europe in Amsterdam for the 2021. So that's great. So that's amazing sharing. And in addition to the people, you also have been volunteering for many of the APMP initiatives, including the APMP UK Awards for 2020 and also for the ICP committee. Would you like to share some of the experiences there?
Well, the APMP UK Awards, I was approached and asked if I'd be part of the panel. So I was really honoured to do that. And I believe we start judging in October. So I still have a bit of imposter syndrome, and I was a bit surprised to be asked, but I'm thrilled to do it. I can't wait to read them all. ICP, I always said to my friends on the APMP UK board that I can't do anything extra. I'm too busy. I can't go on the board. Blah blah blah. And then of course I got this opportunity to go on the intentional career path committee, and I thought actually that really sings to me, because I think having a teenage daughter and understanding what she does at school, which is pretty much bidding, you know, they get the question, they have to answer it, they're even given the evaluation criteria. Kids need to know that there's an amazing career out there that they can do within the realms of their own interests. You know, so if they're interested in engineering, they can do bidding. If they're interested in charity work, they can be in bidding, all sorts of things. So I got introduced to Kristen, who is running that, and yeah, the rest is history. We've as a team we've achieved so much this year, and there's all sorts of things coming members and chapters way at the end of this year, at the beginning of next year. And my particular sub project is the younger ones, so 7 to 12s and 13 to 16s. Wow. So at the moment we're looking at I've got a little subcommittee, and we're looking at adapting some of the information flyers that we've been creating for university students. We're adapting those for younger children. I'm looking at a bit of some sort of a bidding app, so based on storytelling. Children can do these apps where they there's a story, but they can choose at certain points which way to go on the story. So the idea is that they're bidding for something, and they can choose their bidding journey until they hopefully win if they make the right choices, sort of thing. So it's all very embryonic, and it'll cost money, and it's a long-term project, but I'm really excited by it.
Wow. So if anybody having teenage children or about to have children who are going to cut at the age of 7 to 10 or 10 to 13, I think keep an eye on Pippa's initiatives. Next time when they ask you, Daddy, Mommy, what do you do? You could give them the app.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just about showing children that are making career choices. Like my daughter's about to make her options at school choices. Well, you know, they're given all these other options for careers, but nobody ever mentions bidding. So I'm actually going into a college in November for the first time to actually speak about my career and what's available for them. And I'm equally excited and terrified at doing that, but it's hopefully it's the start of doing that quite a lot for people. It's giving my bit back, and just yeah, I never knew about it, and I want other people to know how satisfying and how great a career and a set of people you get exposed to.
Totally, Pippa. So that's a lot of APMP. And how was this bid and proposal summit? Chris Kellin was here as a guest a few weeks ago, and I asked him, man, how did you manage to pull that event? But how was that experience?
It was good. I am incredibly busy with work at the moment, so I didn't get to watch many, and I'm catching up with them slowly on the recordings. Actually presenting was again a different experience for me, because whenever I present, I make them very interactive. I did role play at BPC and the last APMP UK, which is fun. I like people to do things, and I like to engage with people on a personal level. So to sit here and look at my screen and not see anyone, I didn't even see myself, was I found it very impersonal, but I think it went okay. I've had, people have said some nice things, and hopefully one day I can go back to doing the interactive stuff and getting people involved. So
that's amazing. I think we all will do that, Pippa. So we all talked about your professional career. I think now is the time to know a little bit more about you. So tell us the 3 things not many people know about you.
I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, most people now know that I love obstacle course racing and playing about in the mud, so I can't use that one as one. So my 3 I've come up with is, I think I have watched this is really sad, by the way, I think I've watched every single episode of Casualty since it started over 30 years ago. I was absolutely obsessed with it as a child, and still now I will make sure I catch up with it every week when it's on, which is just really random, isn't it? Second one, when I didn't quite get the A-level results I planned for, I went off to India, and I spent 7 months over there traveling and working with the YMCA on their street children projects, which was an eye-opener and a humble experience, and I grew up a lot. Not only did I turn 19 while I was out there, but I had some experiences which really shaped the person I am. And the third one is very personal, but it's again something that I think people should talk about. And I lost my first child at full term. Dylan, he was a big bouncing boy, but he wasn't sadly alive when he was born. And the reason I bring that up is because I didn't realise how common it was until it happened to me, and it's one of those things that people need to talk about more, and to acknowledge that it happens and that these are real experiences, and that by talking about it people can help each other. I'm quite I make a lot of donations to SANS, the Stillbirth and Neonatal Death Society. I haven't been able to get much more involved than that, but they have been doing some amazing things in supporting parents who've lost a child. And yeah, it's another of my little campaigns, really.
Wow, that's beautiful. My mom, and I lost my mom lost a baby, my elder brother as well. After
I'm sorry.
1 or 2 days, and she always tells me what after I was annoying, because she always tells me, like, I wish you are not there and he's alive. You look much beautiful. He's supposed to be a kind boy, unlike you, kind of a thing. But anyway, this softening that up for you. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Tips. And I knew it's
fine. It was a long time ago. It was 14 years ago, and you know, you never really get over it. But you know that you can help others by using your experiences, and that's with anything in life. You know, I can help others that are not coping by talking to them, and by making it something that isn't a taboo subject, really.
So true, Pips. Thanks for sharing that, Pippa. So the obstacle course in the mud, is it similar to like Tough Mudder and other things, or
Oh, do you know, that's the one question people always ask, is it like Tough Mudder? Yeah, it is like Tough Mudder. It is Tough Mudder, really. I've only done 2 of those. I've got a wall of about 40 medals, and only 2 of them are for Tough Mudder. It happens all over the world, all over the UK. Obviously it's been curtailed this year, which has been awful for all of us. Although I have got my first race on the 4th of October coming up, albeit it's COVID secure, and we're not really allowed to help each other out. We've got to kind of scale walls by ourselves, which isn't quite how we normally do it. But I fell in love with it after trying to get fit for my 40th, and I just did this one race, and going through kind of 3 or 4 pits of gloopy mud that took about 20 minutes, and with so much laughter, I was hooked, absolutely hooked. And it is the mud, and it is the camaraderie and the community, and for me it's all about the team. So you've got to get the team round, whatever their fitness, whatever's going on with them. It's about making sure that everybody gets it to the end and gets that medal, and it is so much fun. It is so much fun. I get to be a kid again. You know, I've got lots of responsibilities at home and in work, and on those days I can just go and play.
100%. I think once you start to do Tough Mudder, you never stop. I've done 6 in UK, in Scotland.
Have you?
Yeah, but I think the plan was, because you have the London version, there's a shorter version, then you have slightly longer version close to West Sussex here, and then you have one up north. So we went to Scotland. We tried to differentiate, but then it was the same track. But maybe it is, yeah. Maybe it's a different geography or something we'd explore. And as you rightly said, it's very, very, very team event, and it's more like a child play, especially the shocks and other things. So if
I find with Tough Mudder though, there's too much running for a start. I'm not a great runner. I don't mind if there's an obstacle at the end of it, but I'd much rather play in the mud. And actually Tough Mudder is really quite low on my list of favourites, and the one we're going to in October is my favourite, and it's in Brentwood, Essex. It's called Nuclear Races, and they have about 100 obstacles over 12k, so it is just obstacle after obstacle, and it's just so much fun. They've got a death slide that shoots you into the water, and zip wires, and big massive mud pits that you basically have to roll across for about half an hour to get to the other end, otherwise you sink. And yeah, that's brilliant.
Oh wow, okay. That's it. Yeah, somebody recommended Rat Race, and I did Rat Race. My God,
Oh,
that was
Rat Race is
painful.
good.
It was painful. But yeah, I haven't explored anything other than that. But thanks, Pippa. We'll have an offline conversation about
Definitely,
this.
definitely,
Because
definitely.
I turned 40 in like 2 weeks' time. So I had big plans for my 40th for the whole year, but now I'm curtailing. But
Yeah, yeah.
we'll work it
Well,
through that.
I'll do Rat Race with you.
Let's do that. Let's do that. So outside this, what are your hobbies and interests?
Um, well, I spend a lot of time walking around here. It's beautiful in Wiltshire, so there's plenty of places to walk, and joggle, which is a cross between a jog and a jiggle because I don't run.
Right.
So I do a lot of that. I like to read a book. I like to watch films. I like to, my big love is Cornwall because my family's Cornish. So to go down and walk on beaches and do a bit of surfing, a bit of stand-up paddle boarding, absolutely adore that. And obviously looking after my daughter takes up a lot of my time too. We also renovate, we've spent the last 3.5 years renovating this house, which has kind of taken a lot of time. So
Wow.
lots of things, but I work quite hard. So I do spend a lot of evenings and weekends doing work, which is probably, and it's not out, it is out of choice. I don't have to do it, but I enjoy what I do.
Wow, I'm thinking I have no idea how you structure your time to do the things
No,
that you're
neither do
doing.
I.
And it sounds like you work hard and you play hard. A
Yes,
typical.
absolutely.
It's that's beautiful. I think I wish if there is somebody who is listening, it's strike that balance. There are people who tend to work too much, get burned down, and
Yeah,
go to the next one, next one. If you don't allocate your time, nobody will. So
yeah.
this is beautiful, Paper. You're
It's a
inspiring.
good rule for life. Work hard, play hard.
Totally. So again, from your drama teacher experience, you were also into piano painting as well?
Oh yeah. When I was younger, yeah, and I can still pick a few tunes out on the piano now, but I sound, some people won't remember this, but I sound a bit like Les Dawson when I play, but I do enjoy it. My daughter's now got to the stage where I did at her age, and I gave it up, and I'm desperately trying to persuade her that it's not a good idea to give it up, because when you get to mummy's age, you really regret doing that. And I love painting. I love anything creative, really, but certainly since I've become an adult, I have let all that go a little bit by the by, really. So as I get older, I shall probably make time for it again. And I love musicals, and used to be part of lots of local operatic societies putting on musicals. And I haven't done that for years, treading the boards. So I'd probably like to do that when I get older as well.
Yes. What is your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, I don't know. I think just my summers down in Cornwall, probably.
Nice.
My grandparents lived in a place, well, it's on the edge of Newquay, but it's opposite the village of Crantock on the Gannell estuary, and they had a house above the beach, basically. And back in those days, my brother and I used to go off down there every school holiday. They used to wave us off to the beach in the morning. And then when we got a bit hungry, we'd look up to see if Granny was coming down the steps with our pasties for lunch. And it's just idyllic. Yeah, no worries back then.
Oh, perfect. So let's officially enter the Nutters round. It used to be the rapid fire questions round. So we changed it in honor of Howard Nutt. What trait do you like the most about yourself?
I like the fact that I am friendly. It makes my day to speak to anybody, really. I'm a very social being. I love speaking to people about bidding, about anything, really. So probably, yeah, I think my friendliness is probably my best trait.
100%. That's a surprise to many of us, Viva. So that I know I should be focused on this round, because I know I could digress from there, because we could talk about Thursday Throng and Bid Bites if you want to talk about it now, maybe.
Yes. Oh gosh, they're going really well, actually. I'm really loving doing those. although again, they're not about me, they're about the people that come on calls. Right at the beginning of lockdown, Vicky Jackson set up some daily, touch base calls, which were absolutely brilliant for everyone that was a bit nervous about being at home. And I was able to contribute to that because obviously I'm at home all the time anyway. And then about after 12 weeks and things were getting back to normal, she said, no, I'm going to stop them now. She was struggling to get on them as well anyway, and it was doing things daily was a chore. So I said, well, why don't I start something up weekly or monthly? And we asked the regulars, and they said, no, that'd be great. So Thursday Throng was born as a weekly, very informal natter and a bite to eat on Teams. It started on, it's now on Zoom so that I can see everybody on the screen because it's much more sociable. And that we probably get about 15-20 people on that every week. And then I decided we needed something a little bit more structured and a little bit more professional. So Bid Bites was born. Again, it's just a lunchtime, but we have a theme, and then everybody on the call gets I heard them like cats, and everybody gets a chance to give their story and a tip for other bidding professionals. So we did about portals last time, so everybody gave their kind of worst portal stories and best portal stories, and then some tips for managing them. I really enjoy those, but they go by so quick because when you have that many people on a call, to get everybody to have their say is quite a task.
100%. And this happens on Thursdays, is it?
Every Thursday. Unless
time?
I get called to something else, then I have to rearrange, but that's only happened once so far. So every Thursday, 12:30. If anybody wants to join us, I'll just send you the Zoom link. So there's no other parameters for joining. You just click the link. And the Bid Bites happens every month, and I tend to advertise that we've got one next Friday, so I'll advertise that on Monday. And I think this time we're going to be talking about acronyms and glossaries and jargon. So.
Wow. That's brilliant, Pippa. I'll add the link to the podcast as well. And
thank you.
And we'll just do that. That's brilliant. So let's move on. So if you could be invisible for a day, what would you do?
If I could be invisible? Oh, I don't like these questions coming out of the ether. You know what I think I'd do, and she'd probably kill me, is I'd go to my daughter's school and see what they're all talking about. Because since she's become a teenager, she's become an enigma, and I don't understand what's going on in her head. She was a lovely, engaging, chatty child up until the age of 13, which was this year, and she's turned into this teenager, and I don't understand her anymore.
Yeah, I wish I could.
It'd be amazing to see what happens.
Fly on the wall, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But she could never know because she'd be devastated.
Yes, I hope. Yes, that's brilliant. So, if you were a cake, which cake would you be?
All of them. I love cake. I had a cake slide in my last presentation as well. If all else fails, cake. I think a rich chocolate cake with lots of lovely sweet filling that looks amazing.
Definitely.
It tastes better.
You just make me think. Let's close the podcast now. Let's have a cake.
With a dribble of cream.
We'll leave it to the listeners to go for the wild imaginations here.
But, I'm dribbling now.
Do you think aliens are real?
No.
Huh?
No, I don't. That's the short answer to that one.
That's it. What's the nickname that your friends have given you, and what does it mean?
Oh, well, I'm Pipster. It doesn't mean anything really. I was Phil at school because I'm Philippa, not Pippa actually. My real name is Philippa, which means lover of horses. I was Phil, and I was Pip, and I was Pippa and Pipster, and that's really it. I don't have anything exciting when it comes to nicknames.
God dear. So what's the most courageous thing that you have ever done?
Courageous? I don't know. Great. Probably going to India at the age of 18 with a backpack, I would say. I don't find myself a courageous person, as it were. That's why I make myself do the OCRs as well. I'm rubbish at heights, so it makes me climb walls and stuff. But yeah, probably sticking my backpack on and going to India. And we didn't have mobile phones back then.
Yes.
We didn't have the web really. That makes me really old, doesn't it? But it was probably more brave of my mum to let me go, because she only heard from me if I sent a letter or I managed to find a little booth to ring her, not even knowing what time it was back home. And that I probably only did that every month, so it must have been horrific for her. But I think that was quite courageous to kind of just get up and go across the other side of the world, without really knowing what I was getting myself in for. Really, I had the support of the YMCA, to be fair. They sent me over there, but once I was over there, I was kind of on my own.
Right. Did you manage to travel around some parts of India?
Oh God, yeah, I did it all. The only place I didn't go was Calcutta, but I did, and I didn't go right down to the south, but I did. I started in Pune. I did Hyderabad. I went up to Delhi. I went out to. I just kind of did like a figure of 8, and obviously I went to YMCA's and saw street children projects and helped with those and fundraise when I got back on things. But in between times, pretty much on my own. So yeah, it was amazing. The people I met out there, and I just absolutely adored it. And I wish I had travelled more after that, because I came home and adulthood hit, and I haven't really travelled since. But I'd love to go back. I think people say it's either a place you love or hate, and I absolutely adored it. I loved the diversity of it.
That's it. Looks like you have visited more places than me in India, and most of the listeners as well. That's
North, west, middle, south. Yeah.
Perfect. That's it. So, do you ever talk to yourself? If so, what do you say?
Oh, I like that one. I'm always talking to myself. Normally it's to get a grip, and have the confidence, because I have a bit of imposter syndrome. I still, even all these years down, I still not got that much confidence in myself. So I'm talking to myself a lot and telling myself that actually, you know what you're talking about. You can do this. Yeah, probably that's what I say to myself mostly.
Got you. So what annoys you the most about people?
Do you know what the first word that came into mind was? Stupidity. Just people not thinking about stuff. I mean, the trait I hate most in people is liars. I can't bear to be lied to. I don't mind if the truth is something I'm not really a fan of, as in they're telling me something I don't want to hear, but I'd rather hear that than have people lie to me. Yes. So yeah, I don't like that about certain people that think that lying is okay. But I hate people doing stupid things. It's like, just think about it. Think about what you're doing.
Yes. So yeah, this is a strong message to the listeners. So please think before you do.
I could go into it more, but I sound like a really old fart if I do that.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. If you are traveling to a unknown or an uninhabited island, what 5 things would you take with yourself?
Oh, you could have given me some chance to think about that. I think I'd have to take something that I could make fire with. I'd have to take something that would mean, this is really practical now, isn't it? Something that I could make sure that my water was drinkable. I'd take a packet of seeds of vegetables. And then I would take I'd take a whole trunk full of books. And some sun cream. That's really practical, isn't it?
Looks like you're all prepared for the disaster.
Really, that's it. Then all I'm going to do is lie on the beach, read my books, and wait for my vegetables to grow. That sounds perfect.
You're well prepared. Yeah. I think the world is moving to that very soon, I think, with whatever stuff is happening around us in the climate and things. But yeah, that's great. So what's that one modern convenience thing that you cannot live without?
Ooh, what can I not live without? I'd like to say my phone, but actually when I put that down for, for a couple of days, I feel so much lighter. Yeah, because I'd like to not rely on that so much. The one thing I can't do without, I suppose, is my toothbrush.
Yes.
If I don't have clean teeth, everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
And I love and as a modern convenience, I like my electric toothbrush because
yeah, that's so true. It makes a
that
massive
feeling of clean afterwards in your mouth is so nice.
100%. So that's good. Next time when you come close to Pippa, please do brush your teeth. She'll be keeping an eye on it. That's good. What's that one food you could never bring yourself to eat?
Mushrooms. Easy. Hate mushrooms. Ugh.
So normally when you go for full English, you say without mushrooms or pick things.
Oh yeah, no mushrooms, no tomatoes.
Oh, okay. Same like me. That's good. Yes. So what movie or a book character are you similar to?
Ooh. I've been told I look like is it Scully out of Mulder and Scully, but I wouldn't do any of the things that character did. I'd like to be someone like Katniss out of Hunger Games, but not actually do the Hunger Games. Gotcha. So brave and so focused, and yeah, don't know. It's hard, isn't it? Or Baby out of Dirty Dancing. I'd have loved to have been wooed by Patrick Swayze when I was younger.
So the last question on this round is: what is something you have that is of sentimental value to you?
I've got lots of things that are sentimental value. Probably my Grumpy's piano, because my mum learned to play on it, I learned to play on it, and my daughter learned to play on it. It's actually not here at the moment. It's at a friend's house. Well, they learned to play on it. But yeah, when Grumpy died, I was asked if I wanted the piano, and I said absolutely, because even though it's kind of over 100 years old, it just, when anybody plays it, it sounds like Grumpy's playing it. So yeah, very sentimental, very impractical.
Yes, that's just beautiful. You have something that you can tell your generations to just say, what life is about. That's brilliant. Who are the people who have been the most influential in your life and career?
I could probably think of a few. Career-wise, as in since APMP, I'd say Alan Howard, because he has been a support to me from almost the beginning. Yeah, he talks to me direct, tells me how it is, and I like that. Don't like people to skirt around the issue. I like people to say how it is. So him, probably Tony Birch for getting me involved in the APMP in the first place, and as an overall life thing, probably my partner, because he gives me the encouragement and the belief, and he also helped me to understand finances and things when I was at a fairly low point, and I am now financially stable and independent, which I'd never had before. So yeah, he's a good one. Obviously my daughter for the last 13 years has informed everything I do, and she's quite an influence. Yeah, lots of, but so many people. Yeah, and our Mike Fairnott, who was my first kind of real APMP friend when we did our practitioner, and he's left I miss him dreadfully, and he's left a big impact on my life. But he kind of teaches he's one of those people that when you met him, you felt like you'd known him forever. And I think that's something to aspire to as a person, that to make everyone feel like that.
Definitely, Pippa. Thank you for that. Who's the kindest person you know?
My friend Tracy. She's one of those people. She's a mum of 3, but nothing is too much trouble. If you say you've got a problem, she'll go, I can help with that, or would you like this? She's she doesn't race with us anymore, but when she used to race with us, she used to bring the biggest pack of food for everyone. So whenever you're at your lowest, she always had a brownie or something to feed you. But she's just one of those selfless people. She works hard. She's a brilliant mum, but she's always got the time for everybody else to help them.
Everybody needs a Tracy.
They do. They do.
Think so. Wow, so lucky. Next time when Tracy brings something, keep something for me as well. These days you don't meet many people face to face, and I do miss all those things. But
yeah.
great.
When we were first racing and they were quite long and we didn't really know what we were doing, and you know, kind of about halfway, after about 2 hours, you're feeling really low and really tired and didn't really want to do it anymore. And we used to go, oh, why do we sign up for this? And she'd always have a jelly baby in her pack.
Right.
And it was just that little boost would just, get us round.
That's it. It's all the little things that
they all add up to being a very kind person.
Yes, that's a very powerful message as well in life, Pippa. So what's you already talked about it, but let's try whether you can send something else. What's one kind or thoughtful thing someone did to you recently or in the past?
I would say my partner's booked for us to go away for Christmas. And we don't normally. I'd cook or we'd go visiting. But my daughter's at her dad's this Christmas, and I tend to do a lot of work at Christmas time because that's when people shut down for Christmas. The local authorities want their bids back in January. I tend to work Christmas. And I've been quite busy recently, and he saw that and he went, I'm going to book us some time away down by the beach for Christmas, just in Cornwall. And that was really, really kind. So yeah.
That's brilliant.
That thoughtfulness.
Yes, amazing. So what's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
Probably how rewarding bidding is. If I'd have known that, I'd have probably pursued it earlier and not fell into it, and not just seen it as a stopgap, because I did that for years. I just thought, I'll go back to teaching at some point, or I'll do something else. This isn't really a career, is it? I'm just helping them out, sort of thing. And if I'd have known back then how fulfilling it is to work with companies and to help them win and pay their employees for a start, it's a real warm glow. And I think if I'd have known that, I'd have probably pursued it harder at the beginning.
Definitely. So what's the best piece of advice you have received, and from whom?
This is a no-brainer. When these sort of things first started coming out, there was a commercial manager in RMC called Frank Midwinter, and he said to me, turn every page. Because back then we didn't have electronic submissions. They came out in big brown envelopes, and you had to go through it. And I used to say, I don't need to look at that bit because I'm just doing the questions. Obviously in my naivety. And he said, no, he said, every time you get something like this, any contracts, tender, PQQ, whatever, turn every page, read every word, even if you don't think it applies. And actually to this day, I still do that, obviously electronically most of the time now. But sometimes you pick up some great nuggets of information, or they've hidden something, or you can just get the edge if you pick up some things that your competitors might not have. And so I turn every page.
Wow, that's super powerful. That's a very unique advice, Pippa, that tells you experience, and it also tells you how you can relate, life skills into bidding. Wow. So, we talked about your life, your career so far, all the APMP contributions, and your hobbies, interests, and other things. What's next for you, Pippa?
On a work level, I am incredibly busy. I've got clients that won't go to anyone else, and it's starting to get stressful because I struggle to say no when somebody asks me for help. But I do realise that's putting some pressure on me. So I am at the moment dallying with the idea of employing a graduate to help.
Nice.
I know there's a Kickstart scheme that I'm trying to get some information about, and I know that there are English graduates out there, or media graduates, that might have lost out on a placement because of COVID. So I'm exploring that. I think it has got to the time where if I'm gonna keep going the way I'm going, I'm going to need some help. And I never got into it to have a business or to manage people, but I think I need to do that now. So that's quite scary for me. APMP wise, looking forward to the awards, you know, and I'm really looking forward to how the ICP committee is going to develop over the next year or two, because we've got these amazing things happening. So that's really good. And obviously keep running Thursday Throng and bidding bid bites, as long as people want them, because the minute people don't want them, I won't do them.
I think you have been an absolute giver, Pippa, and please do continue to do that. Is there any part of your life or career, or is there anything else you would like to share to the listeners, Pippa, before we close?
No, I'm a simple soul. I like to keep things simple. I don't think things should be complicated. I'm not allowed to swear, waffly stuff in bids. I'm not a management speaky kind of person. You know, my writing's simple, my organisation is simple, and I think people can learn a lot from that. You don't have to make things complicated or make things so complicated that people look at you as, you know, that people don't understand it, so maybe they think that you're better than you are. You know, I just, keep things simple is probably the one thing I should say to people.
100%, Pippa. So thank you so much, Pippa, for joining Scribble Talk. It's been an absolute privilege to have you with us here. Wish you and your colleagues, family, friends, everybody around you all the good health and happiness. Please continue to inspire our community, and stay safe, stay healthy, stay kind as you always do. Thank you, Pippa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Thank you for having me.
To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Please visit batchyscribble.com/podcast to listen to this episode and check out any of our other previously recorded episodes. If you've enjoyed today's interview, don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the Scribble Talk podcast. We hope you'll check out our next episode where we interview another industry expert and special guest. Until then, it's Ashley Kays,
Bhaskar Sundram,
signing off.